Separate rebel groups fighting in eastern Aleppo have merged into one single force in order to fight the Syrian regime. The new Army of Aleppo includes former al-Qaeda affiliate Jabhat Fateh al-Sham. The rebels have lost more than one-third of their territory in the east of the city. Forces loyal to Bashar al-Assad are now advancing from the south. They've reportedly captured parts of the strategic neighborhood of Sheikh Zayed from the rebels. 45 people were killed by regime airstrikes while trying to escape Aleppo on Wednesday alone, while more than 50,000 have managed to leave the area in the last few days. Sandra Gathmann joins us now live from Gaziantep near the Turkish-Syrian border with the latest. Sandra, now that multiple rebel factions have merged into one group, do they stand a chance to defend their territory against the regime offensive?
Well, this new united rebel front, the so-called Aleppo Army, also known as Jaish Halab, many see this as a desperate attempt, a desperate merger of all rebel factions operating inside east of Aleppo to try and push back those Syrian regime gains. The idea is to coordinate attacks in a more effective manner and to operate under a single command structure. And we are expecting that this group, this so-called Aleppo Army, will announce the name of their new commander later on in the day. But critics will point to the fact that this comes so perilously late after so many rapid gains have been made by the Syrian regime in the northeastern part of Aleppo and most recently in the district of Sheikh Zayed, where, according to some reports, the regime have controlled now over around 80% of that territory. And in the meantime, of course, tens of thousands of civilians are fleeing and facing an even more dire humanitarian crisis. So again, skeptics saying that this move comes too late, but the question remains as to whether this was a necessary move to boost morale among the rebels and whether they can actually muster that new strength to keep going forward and maybe even reverse some of those regime gains. Annalise?
Now, Sandra, as you mentioned, the civilians are facing a dire situation. 45 people were killed on Wednesday alone while trying to flee Aleppo. They are definitely paying the heaviest price in this conflict. Now, the UN held an emergency session on the need to get humanitarian aid inside Aleppo. How much hope is there that that will change anything on the ground?
I have to say, hopes are quite dim at the moment. If you listen to what UN officials are saying, they are so dismayed by the lack of a response, not just from the international community, but specifically the Syrian and Russian sides, as to why they're so slow in providing a credible plan for humanitarian relief. The Russian Defense Ministry have announced that one particular road into western Aleppo has been liberated for humanitarian aid delivery to make its way into the western part of the city, but the UN denies that's going to help people in besieged areas, the areas where people are most in need of urgent aid, where people are needing to be evacuated from serious war injuries. And so the message coming from the UN is that all efforts, every focus needs to be made on a humanitarian response. The UN ambassador to the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, says a 10-day ceasefire is all she's asking for, Annalise.
Sandra Gathmann in Gaziantep, thank you for that update.